the coldest player in the NFL right now. Joe Burrow is known for his swagger and poise under pressure, helping him become one of the top quarterbacks in the world. But before that, he was told he wasn't good enough to play at a high level.
I've been told I wasn't good enough since recruiting. I had one offer after my junior year of high school, and it was my dad's team. I wanted to go to Nebraska. They told me I wasn't good enough.
So let's go back to where it all started. Joseph Lee Burrow was born on December 10th, 1996 in Ames, Iowa, in a family deeply rooted in athletics. His father, Jim Burrow, was a former standout defensive back at the University of Nebraska and played in the NFL and CFL before transitioning into a successful coaching career. Jim's experience and dedication to the game left an indelible mark on Joe, who grew up immersed in the world of football. Joe's mother, Robin, a school principal, balanced the family's schedule and instilled a strong sense of discipline and work ethic in her son. His athletic lineage extends far beyond this. His grandmother set a Mississippi State high school basketball scoring record in the 1940s, while his two older brothers, Jamie and Dan, played football at the University of Nebraska. This deep connection to sports, and particularly Nebraska, had a profound influence on Joe. As a young boy, Joe idolized his brothers and dreamed of following in their footsteps by playing football for the Cornhuskers. Jamie was a linebacker for Nebraska and served as the team's captain during his senior year, while Dan also played linebacker, adding the family's legacy at a storied program. Watching his brothers compete at the highest level of college football fueled Joe's desire to one day wear the iconic Nebraska red. A pivotal moment came at age 6 when he attended the 2002 Rose Bowl, where his father's team, now at Nebraska, played against Miami. The experience left a lasting impression on young Joe, planting the seeds for his own football aspirations. When Joe was 7, the family moved to Fargo, North Dakota, where Jim became the defensive coordinator for the North Dakota State Bison. During their time in Fargo, Joe began playing youth football, starting as a quarterback. His ability to read the game combined with his competitive drive set him apart even at a young age. In 2005, the Burrows relocated again, this time to Athens, Ohio, where Jim accepted a position as the defensive coordinator at Ohio University. By this point, Joe was fully immersed in football, spending hours studying the game and developing his skills. He attended Athens High School, where he emerged as a star quarterback. From 2011 to 2014, Joe led Athens High School to 3 consecutive playoff appearances, rewriting the school's record books in the process. Over his high school career, he amassed 11,416 passing yards and 157 touchdowns, while adding over 2,000 rushing yards and 27 scores on the ground. His senior year was capped with the titles of Ohio's Mr. Football and Gatorade Player of the Year, solidifying his place among the top recruits in the nation. While Joe's talent was undeniable, the Cornhuskers showed little interest in recruiting him. The lack of attention from Nebraska was a source of frustration for Joe, who had long dreamed of following in his brother and father's footsteps. In later interviews, Burrow admitted that he had always hoped to play for Nebraska, but the program didn't see him as a fit for their offense at the time. Despite the disappointment, Joe used the rejection as motivation to prove himself. He chose to attend the Ohio State University, as it was one of the only big offers he received coming out of high school. His college journey began at Ohio State under the leadership of head coach Urban Meyer. Meyer was renowned for his ability to develop quarterbacks and run high-powered offenses, making Ohio State an appealing destination. However, despite the promise of playing for one of the most prestigious programs in college football, Burrow's time in Columbus would be marked by patience, competition, and ultimately a decision to chart a new path. Burrow redshirted during his first season in 2015. During this time, he worked closely with quarterbacks coach Tim Beck and offensive coordinator Ed Warner, both of whom were instrumental in shaping Burrow's fundamentals and understanding Meyer's system. He also had a front row seat to watch JT Barrett, the Buckeyes' starting quarterback, lead the team. Barrett was an established leader and record-setting signal caller, leaving little opportunity for Burrow to see the field. In 2016, as a redshirt freshman, Burrow moved up the depth chart and earned the role of backup. That year, he saw limited action in 6 games, completing 22 of 28 passes for 226 yards and 2 touchdowns, while adding 58 rushing yards and another touchdown. Most of his playing time came in mop-up duty during blowout wins, as Barrett's grip on the starting job remained firm. Despite limited opportunities, Burrow impressed with his accuracy and composure, earning praise from Meyer and his coaching staff. The following year brought new challenges for Burrow. During fall camp, he broke a bone in his throwing hand, sidelining him for several weeks. In his absence, Dwayne Haskins, another highly touted quarterback, seized the opportunity to compete for the backup role. By the time Burrow returned, Haskins had solidified himself as a primary backup to Barrett, leaving Burrow third on the depth chart. The 2017 season was a pivotal year for Burrow. Although he appeared in just 4 games, completing 7 of 11 passes for 61 yards, it became increasingly clear that his path to becoming a starter at Ohio State was blocked. Barrett as a senior continued to dominate as the starter, and Haskins, a younger and equally talented player, appeared to be the future of the program. After Ohio State's victory in the Big Ten championship game and substantial win in the Cotton Bowl, Barrett graduated, leaving the starting job up for grabs. However, the competition between Burrow and Haskins during spring practice in 2018 highlighted the fierce battle for the position. Head coach Urban Meyer praised both quarterbacks for their talent and leadership, but he ultimately leaned towards Haskins. Recognizing that his chance for starting were slim, Burrow made the difficult decision to transfer from Ohio State. It was a bittersweet moment for Burrow, who had spent 3 years learning and growing under Meyer's system. He later reflected on the experience, acknowledging that his time at Ohio State had been invaluable in shaping his understanding of the game and building his resilience. In May of 2018, Burrow announced his transfer to Louisiana State University after discussions with head coach Ed Orgeron. Because Burrow graduated from Ohio State in just 3 years, he was eligible immediately for the 2018 football season as a graduate transfer. For the first time in his college career, he was going to get the opportunity to start, and he was ready to make the most of it. LSU head coach Ed Orgeron saw potential in Burrow, describing him as a game changer who could provide the leadership and poise the Tigers needed under center. The 2018 season began with a bang. In his debut as LSU's starting quarterback, Burrow led the Tigers to a convincing 33-17 victory over number 8 Miami. While his stats were modest, 140 passing yards and no touchdowns, Burrow's composure in a high-stakes game set the tone for what would be a promising season. As the year progressed, Burrow's confidence grew, and he began to showcase his ability to lead in crucial moments. One of the defining games of the season came against number 2 Georgia. In front of a raucous home crowd in Tiger Stadium, Burrow orchestrated a dominant 36-16 victory, throwing for 200 yards and rushing for 2 touchdowns. His ability to manage the game and rise to the occasion against an elite opponent solidified his status as the team's leader. He finished the regular season with 2,894 passing yards, 16 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, along with 399 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. His efforts earned him the honor of being named captain, and while his stats for the most of the season were modest, everything was about to change. On January 1st of 2019, Burrow and LSU would face off with undefeated UCF in the Fiesta Bowl. Late in the first quarter, Burrow would be picked off and take a soul-crushing blindside hit on the return. This hit left him on the ground for a few moments before he was able to get back to his feet, and while for many QBs, this could have struck fear into him, Burrow was forever changed for the better. Despite trailing 14-3 in part to the pick 6 that was just thrown, Burrow would go on to have the best game of his season. He would throw for 4 touchdowns and 394 yards in a 40-32 victory over UCF. This win was Burrow's coming out party, and he was ready to capitalize on everything he had learned in the game. His 2019 season at LSU was nothing short of legendary. After a solid first year in Baton Rouge, Burrow entered the season with high expectations, but few could have predicted the unprecedented level of dominance he would achieve. Newly hired passing game coordinator Joe Brady introduced a more modern, explosive offense, and Burrow thrived in the system tailored to his strengths. The team was also stacked with future NFL players, including wide receiver Justin Jefferson and running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But Burrow's go-to target on the team was Jamar Chase, a sophomore wide receiver. With a combination of blazing speed, precise route running, and physicality, Chase became a perfect complement to Burrow's pinpoint accuracy and ability to read defenses. Their chemistry on the field was undeniable, and it played a central role in LSU's historic season. From the very first game, it was clear this was going to be special. In LSU's opener against Georgia Southern, Burrow threw for 270 yards and 5 touchdowns in a 55-3 rout, setting the tone for the Tigers' revamped offense. In Week 2, Burrow faced his first major test against number 9 Texas in a nationally televised primetime game. He delivered a dazzling performance, throwing for 471 yards and 4 touchdowns, including a clutch 61-yard strike to Justin Jefferson in the fourth quarter to seal a 45-38 victory. Burrow's poise in hostile territory and his connection with the talented receiving corps catapulted him into national spotlight. As the season progressed, Burrow shattered records with almost routine efficiency. He passed for over 300 yards in 13 of 15 games, including 4 games where he exceeded 400 yards. By mid-season, he had firmly established himself as the Heisman frontrunner, and his performance in marquee matchups only solidified his case. Against number 3 Alabama, Burrow threw for 393 yards and 3 touchdowns, leading LSU to a 46-41 victory and snapping an 8-game losing streak to the Crimson Tide. His ability to dissect one of the nation's top defenses showcased his elite decision-making and accuracy under pressure. LSU returned to Baton Rouge as folk heroes for doing the impossible, beating Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Burrow finished the regular season with staggering numbers: 4,715 passing yards, 44 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions, completing an NCAA record 77.9% of his passes. LSU went undefeated and earned the top seed in the college football playoff. In the SEC championship game, Burrow further cemented his dominance, throwing for 349 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 37-10 victory over Georgia. And in the college football semifinals against Oklahoma, Burrow delivered another historic performance. He threw for 493 yards and 7 touchdowns in the first half alone, leading LSU to a blowout 63-28 victory. His 7 passing touchdowns set a college football single-game record, and he added a rushing touchdown for good measure. It was a game that epitomized Burrow's ability to dominate on the biggest stage. The grand finale came in the national championship game against Clemson. Facing the defending champions and a stout defense, Burrow was once again unstoppable. He threw for 463 yards and 5 touchdowns while rushing for another score, leading LSU to a 42-25 victory and securing their first national championship since 2007. The synergy between Burrow and Chase was never more evident than in this game. Against Clemson, Chase delivered a performance for the ages, catching 9 passes for 221 yards and 2 touchdowns. Burrow would finish his senior year with 561 passing yards, 60 touchdowns, an NCAA single-season record, and just 6 interceptions, achieving a 76.3% completion percentage. His 65 total touchdowns were also an NCAA record. Burrow's individual accolades from the 2019 season were as historic as his on-the-field performances. He won the Heisman Trophy in a landslide, receiving the largest voting margin in the award's history at the time. He also swept nearly every major college football award, including the Maxwell Award, Walter Camp Award, Davey O'Brien Award, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, and AP College Football Player of the Year. He was a unanimous All-American and was named SEC Offensive Player of the Year as well. The 2019 season was not just the pinnacle of Burrow's college career, it was one of the greatest individual seasons in college football history. He had taken LSU to unprecedented heights, redefining what was possible for a quarterback in the modern era. By the season's end, Burrow had etched his name into the record books and into the heart of LSU fans forever, leaving a legacy that would be remembered for generations. After one of the most extraordinary seasons in college football history, Burrow would enter the 2020 NFL Draft as the consensus #1 overall pick. The Cincinnati Bengals, holding the first overall pick, were in desperate need of a franchise quarterback. Coming off a dismal 2-14 season, the team had parted ways with longtime starter Andy Dalton and was looking for a player to rejuvenate the franchise. Burrow, an Ohio native, seemed like the perfect fit to lead the Bengals into a new era. In the months leading up to the draft, Burrow solidified his case as the top prospect. At the NFL Combine, while he chose not to throw, he impressed teams during interviews with his confidence and in-depth understanding of the game. On April 23, 2020, the Bengals made it official, selecting Joe Burrow with the first pick in the draft. Burrow became the third quarterback in LSU history to be drafted first overall, joining Jamarcus Russell and Billy Cannon. During his introductory press conference, Burrow expressed his excitement about playing for his home state team, saying, "I've dreamed about this since I was a kid. I'm ready to get to work and bring a winning culture back to Cincinnati." His calm demeanor and confidence gave Bengals fans hopes that the long-awaited turnaround was finally within reach. Despite the challenges of joining a rebuilding team, compounded by a pandemic-impacted offseason that limited his preparation, Burrow embraced the opportunity with poise and determination that had defined his college career. From the outset, it was clear Burrow was ready for the NFL stage. In Week 1 against the Los Angeles Chargers, he showcased his dual-threat ability by rushing for a 23-yard touchdown for his first professional score. Although the Bengals narrowly lost 16-13, Burrow's composure under pressure and ability to extend plays hinted at the potential he brought to the team. In Week 2, Burrow had his first true breakout performance in a nationally televised game against the Cleveland Browns. Despite a 35-30 loss, Burrow would throw for 316 yards and 3 touchdowns while attempting 61 passes, an NFL rookie record. His ability to shoulder such a heavy workload and make accurate throws under constant pressure impressed both fans and analysts. It was a glimpse of the leadership and resilience that would define his rookie campaign. As the season progressed, Burrow continued to grow, building chemistry with his young receiving corps, including Tyler Boyd and rookie T. Higgins. He delivered his first career win in Week 4 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, throwing for 300 yards and a touchdown in a 33-25 victory. Burrow became the first rookie in NFL history to throw for 300 yards in 3 consecutive games, further cementing his status as the Bengals quarterback of the future. Burrow's best game of the season came in Week 7 against the Cleveland Browns, where he passed for 406 yards and 3 touchdowns, adding another score on the ground as well. Although the Bengals fell short in a 37-34 shootout, Burrow's ability to lead the offense and perform under pressure was undeniable. Finishing the game with 406 yards, he became only the third rookie quarterback in NFL history to reach the 400-yard mark in a game. Unfortunately, his rookie season would come to an abrupt and heartbreaking end in Week 11 against the Washington football team.
And now Burrow, oh boy, clutching his left leg. Oh no.
On a routine dropback in the third quarter, Burrow took a hit that resulted in a devastating knee injury, tearing his ACL and MCL while suffering additional structural damage. The injury not only cut short a promising rookie campaign, but also left the Bengals and their fans devastated. Despite playing in just 10 games, Burrow's impact was profound, finishing his rookie season with 2,688 passing yards, 13 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions, while completing 65.3% of his passes. His poise in the pocket, accuracy, and leadership brought a newfound sense of optimism to the Bengals, who saw in Burrow the foundation of their future success. Following the injury, Burrow's focus shifted to recovery. In the weeks after surgery, he expressed confidence that he would return stronger than ever, vowing to lead the Bengals to greater heights. For Cincinnati, Burrow's rookie season was a glimpse of what could be. A transformative quarterback who had already began to reshape the culture of the team and lay the groundwork for future success. Throughout the offseason, Burrow's work ethic and determination were on full display as he underwent rigorous rehab to return in time for the 2021 season. By the time training camp rolled around, it was clear that Burrow was not only physically ready, but mentally prepared to lead the Bengals into a new era. The Bengals entered the 2021 NFL Draft with the 5th overall pick, and the decision they faced was a pivotal one. With Burrow recovering from a major injury, many expected Cincinnati to select offensive tackle Penei Sewell to bolster the protection around their franchise quarterback. Instead, the team opted to reunite Burrow with his former LSU teammate, wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase. Despite some initial criticism of the pick, the Bengals saw Chase as a game-changing talent and a perfect complement to Burrow's skill set. Chase's addition brought excitement to Cincinnati, and the chemistry he shared with Burrow was evident from the first snap of the season. In the opener against Minnesota, Burrow connected with Chase for a 50-yard touchdown en route to a 27-24 overtime victory. It was a moment that highlighted their innate connection, forged during their historic 2019 season at LSU. As the season progressed, Burrow's play elevated to another level. No longer just a rookie with high potential, he became the leader of a high-powered offense. His accuracy, pocket presence, and ability to deliver in clutch moments helped Cincinnati to a 10-7 record, their first winning season since 2015. Along the way, Burrow shattered franchise records, including a single-season mark for passing yards with 4,611 and touchdowns with 34. His connection with Chase was the centerpiece of the Bengals' success. Chase ultimately finished the season with 81 receptions, 1,455 yards, and 13 touchdowns, becoming the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year. Burrow's toughness and leadership were on full display throughout the season, particularly in a Week 16 victory over the Baltimore Ravens. Facing a depleted Ravens defense, Burrow threw for a career-high 525 yards and 4 touchdowns, the fourth most passing yards in a single game in NFL history. The performance solidified his status as one of the league's premier quarterbacks and set the stage for an unforgettable postseason run. This season wasn't just a comeback for Burrow, it was a statement. For the Bengals, it was clear they had a generational quarterback at the helm, ready to take them to new heights. With a young, dynamic roster and momentum from their AFC North title, the Bengals entered the postseason looking to end a 31-year playoff win drought. Cincinnati's playoff journey began with a wildcard matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders. In front of a home crowd, Burrow delivered a poised and efficient performance. He completed 24 for 34 passes for 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, including a perfectly placed throw to tight end CJ Uzomah for the game's opening score. Burrow's calm leadership helped Cincinnati secure a 26-19 victory, ending the franchise's decade-long playoff drought. The win was met with jubilation from fans and solidified Burrow's place as the quarterback who had revitalized the team. In the divisional round, the Bengals faced the top-seeded Tennessee Titans in a hard-fought battle. Tennessee's defense relentlessly pressured Burrow, sacking him 9 times, a playoff record, but his resilience was unshakable. Despite the pressure, he threw for 348 yards, connecting with Jamar Chase on key plays to keep the Bengals in the game. With the score tied at 16 in the final minutes, Burrow orchestrated a clutch drive, setting up rookie kicker Evan McPherson for a 52-yard game-winning field goal as time expired. The 19-16 victory sent the Bengals to the AFC Championship game, further cementing Burrow's reputation for thriving under pressure. In the AFC Championship game, Cincinnati faced the Kansas City Chiefs, a team led by superstar quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Cincinnati fell behind 21-3 in the first half, but Burrow refused to let the game slip away. He rallied the team with a mix of pinpoint passing and timely scrambles, including a critical third-down run to extend a key drive. His connection with Chase and T. Higgins was instrumental in the comeback, as the Bengals tied the game at 21 and eventually forced overtime. In overtime, Cincinnati's defense intercepted Mahomes, giving Burrow a chance to lead a game-winning drive. He methodically moved the team into field goal range, and once again, McPherson delivered, nailing a 31-yard kick to seal a 27-24 victory. The win sent the Bengals to their first Super Bowl since 1989 and marked one of the greatest comebacks in franchise history. Burrow's 250 passing yards and an unwavering composure in the face of adversity were a testament to his status as a franchise quarterback. The Bengals' playoff run was a story of resilience, led by Burrow's inflappable confidence and leadership. With each victory, he solidified his place among the NFL's elite quarterbacks. As the team prepared for Super Bowl 56, Burrow's journey from injury to stardom captured the hearts of fans and cemented his legacy as the face of Cincinnati's resurgence. They would enter the Super Bowl as underdogs against the Los Angeles Rams, a team loaded with star power on both sides of the ball. For Burrow, the game represented a chance to cap off an incredible season with the ultimate prize, a Lombardi Trophy. Played at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, the matchup was a showcase of Burrow's resilience and the Bengals' rise to prominence. The game began with a back-and-forth battle as Burrow connected with Jamar Chase on a spectacular 46-yard catch to set up a Bengals field goal. The Rams struck with a touchdown, but Burrow kept the Bengals in the game, throwing a 75-yard pass to T. Higgins early in the second half, giving Cincinnati a 17-13 lead. As the game progressed, Cincinnati's defense kept the Rams in check, but the relentless pass rush of Aaron Donald and Von Miller began to take its toll on Burrow, who was sacked 7 times. In the final minutes, with the Rams trailing 20-16, Matthew Stafford led a game-winning drive, finding Cooper Kupp for a go-ahead touchdown. With less than 2 minutes remaining, Burrow had one last opportunity to deliver a legendary comeback. Facing immense pressure, he moved the Bengals downfield but ultimately stopped on a critical 4th down near midfield, sealing the 23-20 victory for the Rams. Despite the loss, Burrow's performance in the Super Bowl showcased his toughness and ability to lead under the brightest lights. He finished with 263 passing yards and a touchdown, and his leadership throughout the game kept the Bengals competitive until the very end. While the loss was a bitter pill to swallow, Burrow remained optimistic, stating in the post-game interviews, "This is just the beginning. We'll be back." After the heartbreak of Super Bowl 56, Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals entered the 2022 season with a clear mission: prove their success was no fluke and they were legitimate contenders for years to come. This offseason, Burrow focused on improving his game and building chemistry with the young talent around him. But the season didn't begin as smoothly as the Bengals hoped. In Week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers, Burrow threw a career-high 4 interceptions and a dramatic overtime loss. Despite the setback, he remained composed and quickly bounced back, guiding the team to 4 straight wins after a rocky 0-2 start. Burrow's resilience became the theme of the season, as he once again demonstrated his ability to rise to challenges and lead his team through adversity. One of Burrow's standout performances was in Week 7 against the Atlanta Falcons, where he would throw for 481 yards and 3 touchdowns, adding another rushing score for good measure. His connection with Jamar Chase was electric, as Chase recorded over 130 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a reminder of the explosiveness of the Bengals' offense when firing on all cylinders, and highlighted Burrow's ability to take over games with precision passing and smart decision making. As the season progressed, he continued to shine, building an impressive resume. The Bengals navigated a competitive AFC North and once again secured the division title, finishing the regular season with a 12-4 record. Burrow's statistics were nothing short of stellar. He passed for 4,475 yards, 35 touchdowns, and only 12 interceptions, completing 68.3% of his throws. His ability to make big plays in key moments and his leadership on and off the field reaffirmed his status as one of the league's elite quarterbacks. Despite missing several games due to injury, Jamar Chase continued to be Burrow's go-to target, while T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd added critical depth to their receiving corps. Burrow's knack for spreading the ball and keeping defenses guessing made Cincinnati one of the most dangerous offenses in the league. In the playoffs, Burrow once again demonstrated his inflappable nature. The Bengals opened their postseason run with a victory over the Baltimore Ravens in the wildcard round, a hard-fought 24-17 win that showcased Burrow's poise under pressure. He followed the performance with a dominant showing in the divisional round, leading the Bengals to a 27-10 win over the Buffalo Bills in snowy conditions, throwing for 242 yards and 2 touchdowns while commanding their offense with surgical precision. In the AFC Championship game, the Bengals faced a rematch with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Burrow threw for 270 yards and a touchdown while leading a late-game comeback attempt. However, the game ultimately ended in a narrow 23-20 loss, with a late Chiefs field goal sealing Cincinnati's fate. While the season ended short of another Super Bowl appearance, Burrow's 2022 campaign cemented his position as one of the NFL's top quarterbacks. His ability to consistently perform at an elite level, even in high-pressure situations, solidified his reputation as Joe Cool. For the Bengals, the season reinforced that with Burrow at the helm, they remained a force to be reckoned with in the AFC for years to come, or at least they believed. The Cincinnati Bengals entered the 2023 NFL season with high expectations, aiming to build upon their recent success under the leadership of Burrow. However, the season unfolded as a testament to resilience in the face of unforeseen challenges. They would conclude the regular season with a 9-8 record, placing 4th in a highly competitive AFC North division. This performance, while commendable, was insufficient to secure a playoff berth, marking the first time in 3 years the team missed the postseason. A significant turning point occurred in Week 11 when Burrow sustained a wrist injury during a game against the Baltimore Ravens. The injury sidelined him for the remainder of the season, profoundly impacting the team's offensive capabilities. Prior to his injury, Burrow had been performing at an elite level, demonstrating the leadership and skill that had become synonymous with his tenure in Cincinnati. Burrow and the Bengals entered the 2024 NFL season with renewed optimism, eager to regain form. Burrow, now fully recovered from his wrist injury, was poised to lead them to greater heights. The season began with unexpected challenges. The Bengals found themselves with an 0-3 record after narrow losses to the New England Patriots, Kansas City Chiefs, and Washington Commanders. Despite Burrow's impressive performances, including a 324-yard, 3-touchdown game against Washington, the team struggled to secure victories. In Week 4, Burrow delivered a rare pregame speech that galvanized the team, leading to a 34-24 win over the Carolina Panthers. The victory marked a turning point as the Bengals began to find their rhythm. Burrow's leadership was evident, and his connection with receivers Jamar Chase and T. Higgins strengthened the offense. Throughout the season, Burrow showcases elite skills, including a career-high 5 touchdown passes in a 41-38 overtime loss to the Baltimore Ravens in Week 5. Despite individual successes, the Bengals faced a series of close losses, often by narrow margins. Burrow became the first player to throw for over 300 yards with at least 3 touchdowns and no interceptions in consecutive games, and lose both in regulation, highlighting the team's struggles to close out games. While Burrow continued to be brilliant, a struggling Bengals defense cost them time and time again, with an inability to stop opposing teams. Sitting at 4-8 after a loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers in Week 13, Burrow's resilience shone through as he led the Bengals on a 5-game winning streak. During this stretch, he completed 75% of his passes for 1,581 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, achieving a 110.9 passer rating. A standout performance came against the Denver Broncos, where Burrow threw for 412 yards and 3 touchdowns, keeping the team's slim playoff hopes alive. The Bengals capped the regular season with a victory over the Steelers, extending their winning streak to 5 games and finishing with a 9-8 record. However, a win by the Denver Broncos the following day eliminated Cincinnati from playoff contention, bringing a bittersweet end to a season filled with both promise and frustration. Burrow finished the 2024 season with career-best statistics, leading the NFL with 4,918 passing yards and 43 touchdowns. Despite a struggling defense, Burrow put up MVP numbers and single-handedly kept the Bengals competitive in most games. Where do you think Burrow and the Bengals will finish next season? Let me know in the comments below.